Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at everything we know about GhostWire Tokyo.
残りの制作期間かけて、私たち一同、よりユニークでより魅力的な作品にするために、頑張っていきたいと思っています。
The newest game from Tango Gameworks is upon us, and even though marketing for the game has been rather quiet, there's enough info for us to help inform you about GhostWire Tokyo. Do you plan to pick up this supernatural adventure? What about the game has you hyped? Share with us in the comments below.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
The vague story.
It's up to you to save Tokyo.
Much of what we've seen from GhostWire Tokyo has been gameplay, combat, and enemies. For all you narrative gluttons out there, don't worry. There is a story, and it's a rather bizarre one. All of Tokyo has suddenly disappeared within an eerie fog, and the population has been replaced by different races of yokai known as the Visitors. You play as Akito, a young man who finds himself partially possessed by a detective known as KK and discovers a threatening cult of masked beings who are most likely responsible for the new Tokyo.
Possessed by a mysterious spirit named KK, who has his own agenda, you'll need to work together to unravel the truth behind the disappearances and save the city from this twisted nightmare.
A legendary team of devs.
Tango Gameworks の三上真司です。こんな時期ですけど、クエコンにオンラインで参加してくれる皆さん、ありがとうございます。
As mentioned earlier, GhostWire Tokyo comes from Tango Gameworks, a Bethesda-owned game studio founded by Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami. Some would know the studio primarily for The Evil Within and its 2017 sequel, the first game being directed by Mikami himself. However, the director's chair for GhostWire belongs to one Kenji Kimura, a games industry veteran who worked as a character designer for Tekken Tag Tournament, Tekken 4, Tekken 5, and Soul Calibur 4, and a visual designer for God's Eater's Burst. If the combat of GhostWire looks a tad familiar to you, well, you're not wrong. Combat director Shinichiro Hara previously worked on the glory-killed mechanics of 2016's Doom. Needless to say, there are some incredibly talented developers helming GhostWire.
なんと、GhostWire東京では犬の頭をなでなでよしよしすることができます。ではまた。
Looks can be deceiving. Now, despite the supernatural paranormal themes given by the character design and visuals, there is one important thing to remember if you're jumping into GhostWire Tokyo on day one. This is not a horror game. I repeat, this is not a horror game. Do not go in expecting to be scared or frightened. GhostWire Tokyo is very much like any other PlayStation exclusives as of late. It's a first-person, action-adventure game with an open world and a focus on story and combat. Thankfully, the spooky theme of ghosts and paranormal activity serve as a breath of fresh air in the sea of post-apocalyptic wastelands.
Areas of dense fog not only harbor dark energy that drains your health, but are infested with deadly paranormal creatures.
A change in the Tango formula.
Now that you're reunited with KK, you can use his powers again and gain access to devastating supercharged attacks.
Part of what makes GhostWire Tokyo such an interesting development is how it's so different from what some of the key devs have worked on before. As we pointed out earlier, director Kenji Kimura has worked on Tekken and Soul Calibur, 3D fighting games published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. As for Tango Gameworks as a whole, The Evil Within and its sequel followed a bit more closely with Mikami's previous work on the Resident Evil games, linear, third-person shooters with horror themes and survival crafting mechanics. So it'll be interesting to see how this studio approached the AAA formula of open-world action-adventure games. An ever-changing world.
These creatures are not only the fastest way to get around, but they also open a new dimension to the city.
Speaking of the game's open world format, GhostWire Tokyo invites you to explore its supernatural world with a variety of different environments and objectives. In order to uncover parts of the world, you'll have to find and cleanse corrupted gateways. You may also stumble across different dungeons known as Utena spaces that will distort your perception and play mind games on you. Oh, and you will have a great method in traversing the area. You'll be able to reach new heights with an ethereal grappling hook. Whether you're able to Spider-Man your way around remains to be seen, but you will be able to get to rooftops rather quickly. Spoopy Scary Spirits. As you explore Tokyo, you'll encounter a number of strange and dangerous spirits. Many of them will want to kill you, but that isn't to say every single ghost is after your head. You'll also come across friendly spoops to lighten things up, whether that be a spirit giving you a side quest, ghost kitties that run convenience stores and look so adorable as they sell you materials, or even the occasional Shiba puppos to pet because they are good puppos. That said, your ghostly odyssey will have its tense moments, its cute moments, and its emotional moments. Just make sure you go and pet all the good boys and the good girls. All the puppos deserve the pets.
ぶっちゃけ幽霊とか超常現象とか信じますか？また見たことあったりしたら教えてください。
Spellcasting Ninja.
バトルのシステムや、演出表現、等ですごくこうアピールしたいことがあればどうぞ。
As far as weaponry goes, the only traditional tool that seems to be every open world game's undying love is the bow and arrow, for some unknown reason. But that will mostly be used for stealthy takedowns in GhostWire. Otherwise, you'll mostly be using your own supernatural spellcasting powers, or as combat director Shinichiro Hara puts it, karate meets magic. Utilize a variety of elemental magic to decimate your enemies and take down weakened foes by tearing out their spiritual cores. Really, for those of us who played Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, the combat will help us feel right at home with GhostWire Tokyo. Launch.
I will be her salvation.
GhostWire Tokyo is a timed PlayStation 5 exclusive, meaning that when the game launches on March 25th, 2022, it will only be available on that system. Well, that and PC, of course. Much like Deathloop, GhostWire is being published by Bethesda Softworks, which, as we all know, is now an Xbox publisher. So those of you wanting to play on Xbox are most likely going to have to wait until at least a year after GhostWire launches, or whenever the timed exclusivity expires. PC players will be able to enjoy the game on March 25th as well, though. And thankfully, GhostWire will not take up a ton of storage and will only require roughly 20 gigabytes to install. Just make sure you have the RAM that you need in order to play on PC. Really, the RAM requires 12 to 16 gigabytes. That's insane for at least somebody like me. I only have 8, but, you know, I'm a PC noob, so just make sure you meet the specs before you go and buy this game.
まだまだお見せしていない要素がたくさんありますので楽しみにお待ちください。ゴーストワイヤー東京は3月25日発売予定です。
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.